Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're grappling with something I think we all encounter, maybe more than we realize. It's this gap between what we say we value, what we advocate for, and, well, what we actually do.
Exactly. It's a really common thing in our modern world, isn't it?
It really is. And that brings us to the core question for this deep dive. Why do we so often promote ideas, values, that we don't fully live out day to day?
And just to be clear up front, this isn't about pointing fingers or anything like that. It's more of a reflection trying to understand this pattern we see all around us.
Right, a collective look.
Yeah. And the insights we're drawing on today, particularly from the source excerpts from the performance and practice of our values, they suggest something quite profound.
Which is?
That the performance of our values seems to have, overtaken the actual practice of them.
Performance overtaking practice. Okay, let's dig into that. A key idea that came up in our research is this concept of declarative identity. The idea being that nowadays, identity is often something you declare first, maybe online, maybe just in conversations, before it's really been, developed through experience.
It's like we announce who we are before we are that person.
Exactly. We become, as the source puts it, curators of our convictions. We pick and choose what beliefs to display.
And it's startling how often you see this play out, isn't it? The source gives some really vivid examples.
Like what?
Well, think about reposting quotes about empathy. We might do that, right? But then actually sitting down and truly listening to someone we fundamentally disagree with, that's much harder.
Yeah, that takes effort.
Or talking a lot about mental health awareness, which is great, but meanwhile we're ignoring our own signs of burnout, pushing ourselves too hard.
Guilty as charged sometimes, I think, for many of us.
Right. And maybe the most common one, promoting authenticity, saying be yourself, but then carefully filtering our own lives, hiding the flaws, the messy bits.
So we present this polished version.
Exactly. And the source argues that this isn't just, individual inconsistency, it's become a cultural thing. Visibility becomes virtue.
Say more about that. Visibility becomes virtue.
It means just being seen to align with certain values, certain popular narratives can feel like you've done the work. It replaces the slow, often uncomfortable process of actual transformation.
That really hits home. That feeling of, okay, I've posted about it, I've said the right things, and maybe that feels sufficient.
It can, yeah.
But what are the dangers there? When advocacy starts to feel a bit too easy, maybe even like self-serving, what does the material say about that?
That's a crucial point. It talks about rhetoric without reflection, basically using the language of advocacy without really thinking about what it demands of us.
Right, just saying the words.
Yeah. And there's often this subtle ego in advocacy. It feels good, right? To speak out, to feel like you're on the right side. It gives you a sense of righteousness.
A little boost.
But the danger, the real trap, is that the declaration itself, just saying it, becomes the endpoint, not the start of actually changing anything in your own life.
So the talking is the action, in a way.
Or it feels like it is. And we start, as the source puts it, using words like shields rather than mirrors. We deflect criticism instead of looking inward.
Ooh, shields rather than mirrors. I like that.
It's a powerful image, isn't it? We trick ourselves into thinking that speaking truth is equal to living truth, and it is not.
So what's the difference then? What makes it real practice, not just performance?
Well, the material is pretty clear on this. True advocacy requires friction.
Friction, meaning?
Meaning it has to cost us something. It might be comfort or maybe our pride. It could be changing our habits or even risking our social standing sometimes.
Ah, okay. So it can't just be easy validation.
Exactly. If it costs nothing, if it just adds a nice label to who we are, the source argues it's performance. It's not genuine practice.
That sets a pretty high bar.
Yeah.
And, thinking about it, it's so easy to fall short of that. We all do, right? Does that just make us all hypocrites then?
That's a really important question, and the material actually offers some reassurance there.
Okay, good.
It suggests that struggling to live up to your values, that gap we all experience, that's not necessarily hypocrisy. That's just, humanity. We're works in progress.
Right. Nobody's perfect.
Exactly. The real problem, according to the source, is the denial of contradiction.
Denial of contradiction.
Yeah, it's when we stop questioning ourselves. When we ignore that uncomfortable feeling when our actions don't match our words, or when we become really skilled at talking about ideals, fluent in ideals, but completely silent when it comes to self-examination, mute in introspection.
So it's the awareness and the effort that matter more than perfection.
Precisely. Living what you believe is hard. It takes time, humility, and sometimes failure. The source beautifully states that the measure of authenticity is not flawlessness. It is effort.
Effort.
Yeah.
Okay, that feels more achievable but still challenging. So if we recognize this gap in ourselves, this performance tendency, how do we actually start to bridge it? Are there practical steps suggested?
There are. It really boils down to shifting our focus. The core idea is moving from broadcasting to becoming.
From broadcasting to becoming. Okay.
It means turning the spotlight inward first. Before we rush to tell the world what needs to change, we need to ask ourselves some tough, honest questions.
Why?
Questions like, do I actually live the patience I talk about? Or do I truly model the responsibility I advocate for in others?
Holding up that mirror again.
Exactly. And maybe the toughest one. Am I genuinely willing to be changed by the values I'm promoting? Or do I just want others to change?
Wow. Yeah. That one requires real vulnerability.
It does. It's about prioritizing the quiet integrity of practice over the loud performance of principle. Understanding that real change often happens unseen internally before it ever becomes obvious to others.
So it's less about the grand statement and more about the small, consistent actions.
Absolutely, because ultimately, what we live consistently and imperfectly speaks louder than what we post.
That really sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This whole deep dive points towards the idea that our beliefs, our values, they only gain real weight, real impact when they're actually carried in our behavior.
Couldn't have said it better. And maybe a final thought to leave everyone with, pulled straight from the material, is this challenge.
Okay.
Advocacy is not a performance. It is a promise.
A promise.
A promise to ourselves, to others, and to the world we hope to help shape. So the question for all of us, I think, is how can we move beyond just being voices for ideas and start becoming vessels of them?
Vessels of them, striving each day maybe just a little bit to close that gap.
Exactly. To live just a little closer to the ideals we champion.